Welcome to section 3 of Unit 5 of International Procurement. Today, we'll be looking at international commercial law. So, by the end of this section, you should be able to differentiate between a carrier and a shipper, describe the terminologies involved in the international carriage of goods, and explain the rights, duties, and liabilities of a carrier. So international commercial law is a body of legal rules, conventions, treaties, domestic regulations, and commercial customs or usage that governs the international commercial business transactions. So it's basically the laws that governs the business transactions internationally. International law deals fundamentally with the trade relationship between sovereign states and other international persons, even if they also include dealing with private business corporations. A typical example is the Sale of Goods Act. So we look at some sorts of international commercial laws. We have treaties and we have less mercatoria, that's like the law of merchants or the merchant's law. So a treaty or convention is a written document that is being agreed by two nations. So it's like you tell Ghana tells UK that okay, we'll give you cocoa, then you give us um, chocolate. For example, we'll give you diamond, then you give us roads. Yes, so basically all of that is what a treaty is. Then the law of merchants or the merchant's law also is an international commercial law that owes some of its fundamental principles to the lex mercatoria. This includes choice of arbitration institutions, procedures, applicable laws, and arbitrators, and the goal to reflect customs usage, good practice among parties. So basically, it is the inclusion of arbitration institutions and procedures applicable to law, and the goal to reflect customer usage and good practice among parties. So you are having all of these ADRs in there that comes into play with um, the reflection of customer usage and good practice among parties. So international carriage of goods, here we are saying that is the movement of goods across international borders. So the carriage of goods is the movement of goods across international borders. So we have carriers all over the world that does that. So these movements of goods may take the form of carriage by sea, air, rail, and then air. So the relevant laws associated with the carriage of goods governs the rights, the responsibilities, the liabilities, and immunity of a carrier and of the person employing the service of the carrier. So we have some terminologies we may want to use in international carriage goods. So in an international carriage of goods, when you hear a carrier is a company or a person legally entitled to transport the goods. So it's like they are carrying it from wherever to you at wherever. Then we come to shipper. Shipper is a person who is entrusted with the responsibility of transportation of goods and commodities. So if we give it to a shipper in a ship, it means it will take days. If you give it to a shipper on land, it will take, some hours depending on wherever you find yourself. So a shipper is a person that is entrusted with the responsibility of transportation of goods and commodities. So in the shipping industry, a shipper's role is very vital and something that can never be overlooked. When it comes to consignee, so in a contract of carriage, the consignee is the entity who is financially responsible. So it's like the buyer. The buyer is mostly what who we term as the consignee. When we come to goods, the good is the material in which you are buying to satisfy that human need or human want. We come to contract of carriage by sea. Contract of carriage of goods by sea which made is made for transportation of bulk or general cargo between a shipper and a seller. And a seller that's like a shipper's owner, and a character of the cargo. So basically, that is the contract of carriage by sea. So for by sea means that item that you are carrying might have been very huge or very big. So this impliedly excludes discussion on contracts for which the basic contractual document is a chat party. Then come to the bill of lading. I mean, throughout this course, we've mentioned bill of lading over and over and over again. So a bill of lading is a document that is used by the carrier or the buyer in this case to acknowledge receipt of the cargo for the shipment. So you are using this one to acknowledge that okay, indeed, this is the good in question is for you and you are going for it. Then we come to containerization. It's a system of intermodal freight transport using intermodal containers, also called shipping containers, and ISO containers. So ISO is International Standard Organization. So the containers have standardized dimensions. It's like having an ideal tin container. You see how they are standardized in dimension. The container is standardized in dimension. So containerization is when you have that system of intermodal free transportation using intermodal containers um, in the shipments. Then we come to damage. Damage refers to the charges that the characters pay for the ship owner for its delay operation of loading and unloading. So basically, the damage refers to the charges that a charter pays or the charges that a buyer pays for um, a ship owner or a delivery person for his delayed operations of loading or unloading. So you come to the rights, duties, and liabilities of a common law carrier. So for carriers to perform their duties successfully, they are bound by some rights, duties, liabilities as well. Some of them are proposed by the Law Help 2019 and they are presented below. So rights of a common carrier. So he has a right to reward. So a carrier or the buyer has a right to reward whoever um, brings the or whoever the shipper in this instance, the shipper. Then right to retain the goods. If the charges are not paid to him, he can refuse to deliver goods until the payment is made to him. So if a carrier have your goods and you decide not to pay, he has the right to hold it until you have paid. Right of advance payment. He has also right to demand advance payment before he accepts the goods. And this is before he accepts to do anything else. So there's that right of advance payment. Again, right to recover damages. So if the good carried are in dangerous nature and cause any damage, then common carriers has a right to recover such damages. Again, right of selling. A common carrier has a right to sell the perishable goods after getting the instruction from the consignor if consignee refuses to accept the delivery. So basically, if there's a refusal in delivery and then the item in question may have some form of perishable materials, the the carrier may have the right to sell this perishable good. And expenses recovery rights. Sometimes consignees refuse to accept the delivery. Due to this refusal, he bears some expenses. These expenses can be recovered by the common carrier. So if a consignee or a buyer refuses to accept the delivery, due to the refusal he bears some expenses. I mean, due to this refusal, he may bear some expenses, and these expenses can be recovered by the common carrier. Then right to limit liability. He has Also a right to limit his liability by the special contract with consigner. The refusal rights. So there are some also refusal rights in there. So in some special cases, he can also refuse to carry the goods. A common carrier cannot be compelled to carry the good. So if a carrier refuses to carry the good, he can't be compelled. Again, if especially if the vehicle is full, if the goods are of dangerous nature and there's no dangerous um, form that has been filled. Again, if the goods are inadequately packed, I mean, if the goods are belong to the class which he does not profess to carry. So, for example, there are some people of various backgrounds, and they may not want to carry something in their vessels. So, he has a right to refuse all of these vessels. Again, then we come to right to recover goods. Sometimes a common carrier delivers the goods wrongfully to any person, and he has the right to recover these goods back. Again, recover of loss caused by concealing. Sometimes the consigner conceals the facts about the goods. Due to this, common carriers suffer loss, and this loss can be recovered by him, the consigner. Again, duty of a common carrier. So if there's this loss that they may want to recover as a consigner. So we move to some duties of a common carrier. His duty is to, have the acceptance of goods. Again, his duty is to carry the goods to safety. That's another um, point. Then to use common rules, rules that are common to both parties. Again, to obey the instructions. You should also obey the instructions of the sender, the goods related to the transportation. So if the instructions are given, it is the duty of the carrier to obey. Again, in time delivery, it is also the duty of the um, carrier to provide goods on time. Again, it is the duty of the common carrier that he should deliver the goods within the time expressed in the contract. That's on time. And then the proper place. He should also deliver the goods to the appropriate place mentioned in the contract. And we come to um, delivery of the right person. That's also another important point. It's also the duty of a common carrier that you should deliver the goods to the right person or the person in charge. When we come to liabilities of common carriers, so liabilities in case of wrong deliveries. So there are some liabilities that sometimes may come. So if you wrongfully give something to someone, or if you wrongfully deliver the good to a different location, then that could be a liability on the common law. Again, liability in case of negligence. So being negligent anywhere in the world would be against you. So if you are negligent, then the liability of a common carrier may also come to play. And until the time he has delivered the goods. So handing over the goods to the consignee, as handing over the goods to the buyer, is also a little difficult sometimes. So in a case where the consignee does not receive the goods from the carrier, by placing them at the disposal of the consignee in accordance with the contract or with the law or with the usage of the particular trade applicable at the ports of discharge. So basically, if um, as part of the liabilities, so until the time the carrier has delivered the goods. So in a case where the consignee does not receive the goods from the carrier, so by placing them at the disposal of the consignee in accordance with the contract or with the law or with the usage of the particular trade applicable at the port of discharge. So basically, that's also a liability. So if you leave something for the the consignee when he was not there on his doorstep and it gets missing, for example, that one could also be a liability to the carrier. So in this section, we looked at the differences between carrier and shipper, the terminologies involved in international carriage of goods, the rights, duties, and liabilities of a carrier as well. Thank you. See you next time.